everyone, I'm Alia Dipu. Welcome to my channel. Sorry I haven't been uploading a lot. My exams are coming up and I've been a little bit busy. But today I'm back with another book review, and this is not just any book review, it's a very special book review because I'm going to be reviewing one of the best series to ever exist. That's right, I'm going to be reviewing Harry Potter. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, to be exact. This book was published by Bloomsbury and was published on 26 June 1997, and it was written by Joanne Rowling, or better known by her pen name J.K. Rowling, and this book cost 400 rupees. Now let's move on to the protagonist, Harry, the guy here. Harry lives with his aunt and uncle Petunia and Vernon and his cousin Dudley. They don't treat him very nicely. They kind of treat him like a servant. He does the chores there and they don't even properly feed him, so he looks kind of skinny. And speaking of how he looks, he also has really shabby dark hair and glasses. And they don't treat him very nicely, and he gets bullied by his cousin Dudley and his friends even when he's at school. And he lives with his aunt and uncle because his parents, James and Lily Potter, died because of an accident. So let's move on to the story. So the book starts off with the Dursley family, and everything's going completely normal for them, and they're very happy to say that they're completely normal and have nothing to do with Petunia's sister Lily, aka Harry's mother. And everything's going completely normally, and Mr. Dursley is getting ready to go to work, and he notices a cat on the surrounding wall of his house, and he like tries to shoo it away for no reason, but it doesn't budge, and he's like forget it, and then just drives to his workplace. And when he's stuck in traffic, he notices like a bunch of people. They're wearing cloaks and really pointy hats, and he's like, oh my god, the new generation is so weird. And then he looks closer and sees that it's actually really old people with beards that touch the floor. But once again, he pushes it away, but then he hears the words, the Potters and Harry, and he gets really worried because he's like, what if it's the Potters and Harrys that I know? And he's like, should I call Petunia? But he doesn't. He like, it's a common name, it's probably nothing. And then he returns back home and switches the news on before he goes to bed, where he sees that there's a lot of weird things that are happening, like owls in the daylight, and there's also downpour or rain of shooting stars. So eventually he just decides to ask Petunia, have you heard anything from the Potters yet? And then Petunia gets really serious because she doesn't really like to talk about her sister. Obviously, they haven't been in contact for a long time. And Petunia says no, why? And she gets really upset. And then Vernon, Mr. Dursley, like says nothing, and they go to bed. And then the scene shifts to the cat that was on the wall. It hasn't budged or moved a little bit. And then a man appears out of nowhere. This man's name is Albus Dumbledore, Professor Dumbledore, and he's one of my favorite characters. And then he shows up, and he also has really long beard that touches the floor. So he takes out this lighter thing from his cloak and he clicks it, and when he does, with every click, one by one, the lights start to go out, and then he walks towards the cat and says, hello, Professor McGonagall. And then the cat, whoosh, turns into a human being because magic exists, and they're all wizards and witches. And so Professor McGonagall's like, is it true? Are the Potters really dead? Yes, they did not die in an accident. It was like, you can see from how people are rejoicing that something happened. And the thing that happened was, there was this really bad guy. His name is Lord Voldemort, but no one says that. They call him you know who. You know who. It's like a really weird name. Anyway, or the Dark Lord. And then he's like, is it true? Is the Dark, Dark Lord really defeated? And are the Potters dead? Did Harry really defeat him? And then Professor Dumbledore is like, yeah, that really happened, and Hagrid's bringing Harry here so we can drop him off at his aunt's and uncle's house. And then Professor McGonagall's like, what? No, these people are terrible. I've been watching them all day. They're like the worst people ever. But Dumbledore's like, nothing we can do about it. They're the only family he's got. It's like, why can't we keep him with us? And he's like, I think it's better that we don't expose him to magic at from like that age onwards because of his situation or something. Anyway, so Hagrid, the a really giant, he's a giant, but not like completely giant. Like he's taller than normal people, but he is a giant. Okay, for enough about Hagrid. He brings the baby Harry and they leave him at the doorstep, and then Mrs. Dursley obviously gets a big shock when she wakes up. And one thing about baby Harry was that he has a scar on his forehead. I don't think you can see. Yeah, you can't see it in the photo here, but he does. And that's also an important fact about him that I forgot to mention in the description about him. So stupid. Editing Alia here, I forgot to mention that Harry got that scar when he was fighting Voldemort or when Voldemort tried to kill him. So just gonna quickly add that here. Let's continue with the rest of the book review. Anyways, and so Harry is not treated good at all, and every time and his birthday is not even celebrated, and every time there's like Dudley's birthday, he always stays home and he's like babysitted by this weird lady from across the street. And but this time that weird lady broke her foot, and they couldn't do anything about it, so they had to bring Harry along, and they went to a zoo, and Dudley was being annoying, so Harry accidentally used his magic to trap him inside a cage with a snake. But the snake got out, and it was actually Dudley who was in the cage, but whatever. He got really punished when he came home, and then and then some letters started coming that was directed for Harry, and there was also Hogwarts written. There was also the Hogwarts stamp on it. Hogwarts is the school for wizards and witches that Harry will soon go to, even if the Dursleys say that he's not allowed to. And they like try their best to avoid these letters and by like moving to different places, giving him different rooms, because the letters were so specific. They were even addressed to Harry Potter, Privet Drive number 4, room under the stairs, because that's where he didn't even have a proper room. He lived or kind of stayed in a room under the stairs, like a cupboard under the stairs, and they like keep trying to avoid it. But then one day, on his 11th birthday, uh, the Hagrid, the giant man Hagrid comes bursting into their house, and he tells Harry everything. And here comes my favorite line: "You're a wizard, Harry." No, okay. I guess people who haven't read the book don't know that. Whatever. And then Hagrid proceeds to take Harry to Hogwarts, but before that, he has to get stuff for like his cloak, his wand, and his cauldrons, and like you can also bring certain pets to Hogwarts, like owls, rats, toads, like that. And owls are the most useful, so as a birthday present, Hagrid gifts Harry an owl, and he also gets a wand from Mr. Ollivander's, and Mr. Ollivander is like really weird, and he's like, and Harry does not really like him, but he's like says something weird about how his wand is the wand of connected to the wand of you know who's. This is foreshadowing that they'll eventually have to fight. Anyway, so and then Harry heads off to the Hogwarts train, which is on platform 9 3/4. Yeah, famous 9 3/4. And then Harry does not know how to get onto the platform because such a platform does not exist. And then he sees another wizarding family, the Weasley's family, and you can see that Molly Weasley, the mother, is teaching her children how to get on to the platform. So Harry also like kind of joins them, and he gets help from Molly to how to get on the platform. And then he gets on the train, and he meets Ron Weasley or Ronald Weasley, and then they become best friends. They buy a lot of, and Harry buys a lot of candies and shares them with Ron, and they have a really good time until this one really bossy girl with really floofy hair and big front teeth walk in. Like, have you seen a toad? Neville's lost it, and I'm looking for it. And like, it's like, oh, were you going to do a spell? Because Ron was going to do a spell. It was like, Sunshine Daisy's Buttermellow turned this stupid rat yellow. I think it was like that. And then Hermione is the girl's name, and makes fun of him. Not really, but it's like, it's not even a real spell. Well, I've learned a few new spells, and then she fixes um Harry's glasses and then leaves in a badass way by saying, "You have dirt on your nose" to Ron. And what else? He also, in the place where he got the stuff for his school, he meets this kid. His name is Draco, and he's like kind of makes fun of Harry for not knowing what Quidditch is. And then he meets him again on the train, and he's like trying to be his friend, but Harry very politely, not very politely, declines. And they head to school, and Ron tells him that they have a test to get into different houses: Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, and Hufflepuff. I myself am a Hufflepuff. And they get in to the banquet hall where they get sorted for their houses. And everyone's saying that Slytherin is like, every wizard or witch that has been in Slytherin always eventually goes bad or joins the Dark Lord's side. So when the hat is put on Harry, and the hat's like, "You should be in Slytherin," he's like, "No, please, no, not Slytherin." And then he's like, the hat's like, "Not Slytherin, eh? Better be Gryffindor." And then everyone's erupting in cheers because we have Harry Potter. The Weasley twins, Ron's brothers, are like, "We got Potter, we got Potter." That was really nice. And then it's Ron's turn, and he also obviously gets sorted into Gryffindor, and so does Hermione and Neville, the kid who lost his toad. And so they head back to their dormitories, and they have classes next. And first class they have is, I think, Snape's class, and Snape already decides that he hates Harry, like the Dursleys. So he's like asking really hard questions to Harry, and then Hermione is like, "I know the answer, I know the answer," and raising her hand, but he doesn't. And Snape doesn't really look at Hermione. She just continues to bully Harry, and he also really unfairly takes away points from Gryffindor, and then also gives a lot of points to Slytherin because he's the head of the Slytherin house. And remember the cat, Professor McGonagall? She's the head of Gryffindor, and she's nothing like Snape. She, if anything, takes away points from Gryffindor, and then like, she doesn't really give a lot of points, but she does. But she's very strict. So, and then next they have flying class where they learn to fly on broomsticks. And Ron and Harry and Hermione are all standing there with their brooms, and they're like saying "up, up" to get the broom onto their hands. And then the Neville, the kid, he's very clumsy, okay, and he accidentally like flies too much on the broomstick, and he gets hurt. So while Madame Pomfrey, their teacher, takes Neville to the infirmary, Draco and Harry get into a fight, and then they're like whizzing around on their broomsticks. And and then Professor McGonagall sees how good Harry is, and then tells the Quidditch. Quidditch is a game like, I don't know how to exactly explain it, but there are like a lot of different sections. Like there's the seeker, there's the keeper, and there are the budgers, and there's also like the quaffle, the snitch, and the bludgers. So they have to like score a lot of points through like these really big, really tall poles with like circles on like holes on top, and like one quaffle through them like get some points. And only from second year onwards that you're allowed to join a Quidditch team. So but Harry's in first year, but he's already really good because James was also really good. So I guess it's like in the veins or something. And then so Harry gets elected for the team as a seeker, and then Draco's really unhappy because he was like, "Ha, you're gonna get expelled." But then he does not get expelled. He gets his own broomstick, which is not allowed for first years, and he gets to be in the Quidditch team, which Draco originally made fun of Harry for not knowing what it is. And so we're going to skip to one of my favorite scenes now. It's like in the Halloween chapter, and they're in like the class charms class, Professor Flitwick's class, and then there's the iconic scene of Hermione and Ron that I'm going to act out now because I love it so much.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Look, stop. You're going to take someone's eye out. Besides, you're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
You do it then if you're so clever.
Go on.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Oh, well done. See here, everyone. Miss Granger's done it. Splendid.
After that extremely terrible acting, let's move on. And Hermione hears Ron saying that she's an insufferable know-it-all, and she gets really upset, and nobody really sees her except for like the girls. They say that she's crying in the bathroom, in the girls' bathroom, and Harry and Ron feel really bad, so they like uh kind of they kind of feel really bad. I dropped my book by accident. So they really feel bad, but there's nothing they can really do about it. And they're having the Halloween feast when Professor Quirrell, he's like this really nervous guy, comes rushing and it's like, there's a troll in the dungeon, a troll in the dungeon. And then he just falls on his face because he fainted. And everyone's like, go back to your houses, be safe. But everyone's like panicking, so Dumbledore raises his voice like, quiet. And then everyone's like, quiets down. The prefects take your students' houses to your dormitories, and they all go. But Harry and Ron realize that Hermione doesn't know of the troll, and it kind of decides to help her. And then there's this whole scene where Harry and Ron are fighting the troll to save Hermione. And then the professors find out, and Harry and Ron are about to get in trouble when Hermione says that no, it wasn't their fault. I was being stupid and I ran after the troll because I learned a lot about it and I thought I could take it down. And Harry and Ron were really surprised because Hermione would never lie to the teachers, but now she did for them. And then they become best friends. Yay! Then the golden trio is born. So after that, it's just like a whole bunch of Quidditch matches and Harry accidentally swallowing a snitch. It's like this golden ball that seekers are supposed to catch. And so and eventually we get to this in the beginning, in the banquet for the new year, the new first years, they say that there's this room that no one is allowed to enter unless you want to survive. And Harry and the group accidentally enter it while running away from um, Mrs. Norris and Filch. And so they kind of accidentally enter the room, and then from then onwards they're set to finding out what's in the room. and during one of the Quidditch matches, Snape looks like he's trying to push Harry off his broomstick because his broomstick starts malfunctioning and Harry's hanging on for dear life. And they're all just like, wow, we really hate Snape. And then one day he like limping, they see him limping, and he's like, what? And Harry's like, what happened? And not like care, but like, what happened? And then he hears Snape talking about the door that you're not allowed to enter, and then Snape sees him, and Harry nearly gets in trouble, but he escapes. And then now we get to the climax of the book because this is taking far too long. And so they entered the place, and there's a three-headed dog there, but they kind of like subdue it, and they move on to the next place, which has a lot of these creepy plants that are trying to murder you. If you struggle, the more they like try to wrap around you. But Hermione like tells everyone to stay calm and composed, and they all make it out. And there are like a lot more of those kind of like levels. There's also a chess one where it's not exactly chess, it's like more of the like magic chess where the pieces advise you on what to do and they move on their own. So Ron is really good at chess, so he plays for them and he gets hurt because a instead of like putting the piece away, the pieces explode and like kick each other. So he gets hurt, and then Hermione's like, I'll stay here with him. You can do it, go. And then everyone's expecting Snape to be at the end of this whole thing. But no, it's not. It's actually Professor Quirrell. That's right. The really shaky and weird, nervous professor that said the troll is in the dungeon. And it turns out that he was the one who let the troll into the school. And he's always wearing a turban, and because I don't know why. And so he takes off the turban, and Lord Voldemort is on the back of his head. Yeah. Oh my god, that was like a very weird scene to watch in the movies also. Like that was so freaking weird, bro. And anyways, there's also this thing called the Mirror of Erzed, which shows you whatever you wish to see the most. Harry sees his parents and his family, and this time when he looks, he sees the Philosopher's Stone, and he gets it because that's what everyone's after, because it's giving like a long, and it gives you eternity and like life for eternity, and it's invented by Professor Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel. And Nicholas Flamel has been living for a long time, dude. Like I don't know, I don't even remember how old he is, but he's older than 600 years old. And Professor Quirrell asks Harry, "You can see the stone, right? Give it to me." And he's like, "I don't see the stone." And then this whole fight breaks out, but they're not really using. Harry's not using any spells because he doesn't really know any spells, but Professor Quirrell, with the help of Voldemort, like trying to kill him, but Harry gets too close to him and he touches him by accident, and he realizes that he has the ability to crush him. Oh wow. No. When Harry touches Professor Quirrell, he's like in really pain, and it starts to like his arm starts like rot and deteriorate, so he like starts to hold on to his face, and Professor Quirrell's like pushing him off, but that's not working. And eventually Professor Quirrell's dead, and the ghost of Voldemort terrifies Harry, and he's like found passed out by Professor Dumbledore, and then he's like taken to the infirmary. And there's also this thing called the House Cup where you have to get points. Where you have to get points to win, and Slytherin has been winning for a long time, so Gryffindor hasn't really been winning. But then Gryffindor gets last minute points from Albus because he has favoritism, and but when I read the book, I was really happy about it. And so Gryffindor wins the House Cup in a long time, and they all go back and they all like very happy, and then they go back to their homes. The end. Honestly, this book review is kind of really rushed. Like I said, I have a lot of exams to study for and I don't really have much time, but I seriously love this book and I think that you guys should check it out too if you haven't read it yet. So if you guys like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting me. Bye!